Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Astro here doing a podcast Halloween series for all of October, doing conspiracy theory death chart readings on people who died mysteriously, and we feel like there must be another answer that's unclear. So what I'm going to do is look at both their birth chart and their death chart to see if we can uncover some things here. What I'm thinking about doing, I don't know why I haven't considered this, but considered adding asteroid names into the death charts, maybe even birth charts of these folks, to see if, certain people got actual killers. If you guys were to listen to the last two added segments I did on the Tupac case, I just added them yesterday for my Tupac reading, you'll get an idea of what I'm saying here, okay? I'm just gonna leave it at that. And if you want to learn more, just listen to the Tupac reading and then listen to this reading too, because I'm going to add into it. I may one day create 2 episodes where I focus on a person, and then the other episode I add names into the asteroid names into all the people who passed that I didn't add asteroid names to. So it will be Biggie, I did Tupac's, Eazy-E, Dorothy Dandridge, Marilyn Monroe, and who else am I missing? What else did I do, y'all? Prince and Michael, okay? But I'm gonna definitely add them from now on. But I'm going to also create an episode where I talk about those 7 people and the, add an asteroid name to see if they actually were murdered, okay? So let's get into Britney Murphy. Now, this is going to be a long intro, I believe. I'm going to try to cut it short as possible, okay? Now, Britney Murphy was a famous actress. Started off in the 90s, was a kid actress. I don't know if you remember her, but she was the white curly-haired girl from Sister Sister. If you guys watched Sister Sister like I did when I was younger, I forgot her name. Was it Taj or Tay or Ty on Clueless? Yep, she was on Clueless. That's what I remember her at first. It's from Clueless, honestly. And then I connected, like, oh, is that the girl from Sister Sister too? You know what I mean? But she did a whole bunch of movies. 8 Mile, Girl Interrupted, Little Black Book, Just Married, Sin City, a whole bunch of movies. Famous actress of the 90s. She started off as a kid and then acted all the way into the early 2000s up into her death, unfortunately, which was December 20th, 2009. She was only 32. She was born November 10th, 1977 in Atlanta, Georgia, and died in LA. She always kind of was a normal-sized girl, which in Hollywood, people try to call her a full figure, but she's not a regular-sized girl. Totally perfect, normal body. And so when she lost a whole bunch of weight in the early 2000s, people were trying to say that, oh, she got an eating disorder or she's into drugs. Well, the interesting thing is when she was young, she was diagnosed with a heart murmur and was terrified of taking drugs because she knew that if I were to take something like cocaine, my body would be all fucked up and I could die. So she most likely wasn't into drugs. And then when you kind of lose a whole bunch of weight, or have an eating disorder in which you get really skinny, it fucks up with your heart too. And I'm pretty sure she was aware of that as well. Anywho, she ended up passing away, like I said, December 20th, 2009, and only 32 years old. The reports differ. Some people say she died in her mother's arms. Some other people said that she was found collapsed on the bathroom floor. But regardless, she was in the bathroom. And when the paramedics called, they asked if she threw up, and apparently she threw up some water and a couple of other food that she pre-digested. But anyways, when they called the paramedics, she was breathing. She wasn't breathing, and that was around 8 a.m. December 20th, 2009. They tried to resuscitate her on the scene, transported her over to Cedars-Sinai, which is a famous hospital there over in LA. but she died after going into cardiac arrest over at specifically at 10:04 a.m. Excuse me. The coroner said that she died of pneumonia, anemia, and drug intoxication of prescription and over-the-counter drugs. Just a mixture of those things caused that. So just pneumonia didn't kill her. Just anemia didn't kill her. Just having taken those prescriptions didn't kill her. But all of that kind of encompassed and together caused her to die. They did also note that she did not have any illegal drugs around the scene nor in her body. Sad thing is, she was planning to see the doctor, but passed before then. The weirder thing is that her husband was found dead 5 months later, May 23rd, 2010. His name was Simon Monjack. He was a screenwriter, a makeup artist, and did other things. I think he was a paparazzi too, and I think that's how he initially met Britney. But the crazy thing is he died at the same house, the same exact way, died of pneumonia and severe anemia. Strange, right? Was found around 9:20 p.m. and pronounced dead at 9:45. Interesting thing too is he had a heart attack the week before, or 2 weeks before Britney died. The reports changed. Some people say 2 weeks before, some people say a week before. I'm not quite sure. The Department of Health considered both their deaths possibly being caused by black mold, which is a toxic mold, but they actually unruled that because there were no indicators of some of them dying of that. Sharon Murphy, which is Britney Murphy's mom, first thought the mold had nothing to do with the death, but then changed her stance and said they actually did. In November 2013, her father actually felt that they need to have a toxology report. He just didn't feel good about her dying. There were some other things that happened that I'm going to get later into. He was like, listen, my daughter, there's something up here. There's something up here. So a toxology report showed that there could have been deliberate poisoning caused onto Britney by 10 heavy metals, which is insane. And when I say deliberate poisoning, I mean someone meant to poison her. The amount of poison that was in her body, it wasn't just trace amounts, it was heavy amounts in her hair. And that kind of confirmed to her father that he believed, that she was murdered. The interesting thing here is that, she felt like she was being watched, felt like she was being stalked, and all within reason. So apparently, her and her husband were on the Homeland Security watch list, which is crazy, right? They were friends with a Homeland Security agent named Julia Davis, who revealed that 23 people or foreigners from terrorist countries came into the country, the U.S., through Mexico during a specific time. I believe it was supposed to be July 4th of 2004, and bin Laden at the time was trying to plan like a terrorist attack at that time. They came through without any documents being copied, no fingerprints, not enrolled, nothing whatsoever. They just came in, just straight up. Julia Davis ended up making a movie about it. But after she sent that report, this way before, she made the movie way after, but after she sent the report talking about her concerns about the 23 foreigners coming in, the National Homeland Security went nuts on her. She had 54 investigations, 2 false imprisonments, 2 malicious prosecutions, and a Black Hawk home raid at her actual home. The Black Hawk is like that black helicopter that the National Homeland Security uses. So yeah, that shit. So the thing is like I said before, like she was friends with Julia, and what she ended up doing, was coming out with her husband saying that I support Julia. They need to stop doing this. And then that's how Britney and her husband end up becoming on the watch list, just because of their connection through Julia. The National Home Security ended up falsely claiming that Britney made a statement against Julia She didn't. And so through her lawyer, she made a statement saying that, I didn't say the statement that the National Homeland Security is saying. And that's when shit really hit the fan for her. Her father noticed strange men watching her and her family, felt that helicopters were watching them as well. Crazy ass shit. Brittany's father was the one, again, that sent that toxicology report, because he felt like maybe the government had something to do with it or something strange like that. And again, they saw all those heavy metals and heavy amounts of it in her hair, and the report proved that it was deliberately done with probably criminal intent. So the father came in with this new info like, hey, can you help me out? And no one will reopen the investigation even with the proof. But her mother is actually not going along with this and thinks that this is actually was just a terrible accident, that Brittany and her husband Simon Monjack ended up just passing away off of just some weird coincidence. Her mother also said that Julia barely knew Brittany, and that they know that actual statement wasn't true that the lawyer made, which is interesting because there's literally documents saying that statement was made via Brittany and her lawyer. So that was strange. The mother could be trying to protect herself. She could be kind of scared because, now the government's involved. But a weird thing, though, is the reason why I think that Brittany's mother knows what's going on or is probably afraid to come out or something weird with Brittany's mom is because she insisted on attending the funeral of her son-in-law, which was Simon Monjack, Brittany's husband, in an armed vehicle. And she wanted bodyguards to be armed too at the funeral with machine guns. She insisted on that, and they had that at his funeral. Weird. Some people think that Simon was controlling and wanted her to himself and would give her drugs or even scare her and make her nervous about leaving home and kind of create this scenario in which she just stayed home and kind of kept to herself. But another thing that was like weird about the mom, though, is that she waited 1 hour before calling the ambulance for Brittany. Brittany was like literally not feeling good and feeling like shit. And I guess she finally passed out, and the husband was aware, and that's when the police was finally called. Another strange thing too is that her mother was living with them. So, after Brittany died, it was the mother and Brittany's husband, her widow, living at that house. And he ended up dying in the same house. And the mother ended up discovering the body. When the mother discovered Simon's body, she waited 5 hours before, calling the paramedics for Simon. And at the end of the day, when Simon died too, she got all of Brittany's estate. So people are kind of confused on what could have happened. Was it the government? Was it a pure accident? Was it pure sickness? Was it Simon that did anything? Was it her mom? Is the father involved in trying to get something out of it? Because the strange thing too is that Sharon, Brittany's mom, was saying that the father just came along when Brittany was started being famous. He wasn't really involved in her life until then, blah blah blah, you know what I mean? So I don't know, let's dig a little bit more deeper, because this is strange. And I try to see if there was any good mediums, from mediums that I trust, that did any readings on her. I saw one that was yikes. That's the best way to say it, is yikes. So I don't know. Let's dig deeper and see what happened here, okay? right, guys, so let's take a look at Britney Murphy's birth chart, okay? What an interesting energy. Leo rising, sun and moon in Scorpio, which makes her new moon baby. How wonderful. No wonder she was awesome. No wonder. Let's take a look at her fourth house, right? She has a fourth house stellium. She has Neptune, Mercury, and Sun there, as well as Lachesis, Juno, Ceres, and Anthropos here too. Her sun is like right on her IC, which shows that she actually had deep love for her mother. But the thing is, though, is that usually, Scorpio moon folks, which her moon's in the third house, but Scorpio moon folks are known, like, the mother was mad at the father at the time she was born, right? And then also Scorpio sun folks have a weird thing with their parents. You know what I mean? Like, she has deep love for them because she has a fourth house stellium, but there's something weird with her parents. Like, they usually is a weird thing where they can't be connected. They're not emotionally connected like they should. Scorpios is all about intimacy and deeply knowing people in and out. And the reason why they yearn for that so much is because they feel like they can't have that connection with their parents. You get what I'm saying? The parents that birthed them, not like grandparents, not like aunts and uncles, whatever, but the parents that birthed them, they feel like they can't get that emotional intimacy with them, and so they try to find someone to have that emotional intimacy with. So that's interesting. You see her parents is kind of giving me a red flag there. Also, finale is in the third house, but conjunct in the fourth. Shows that a finale or final of her vitality, like a finale for her vitality, with finale also conjuncting Uranus, and the sun is conjuncting Uranus. It happening in a weird, unconventional, strange not confused, but just a weird way. Possible accident. So it could have been an accident, honestly. But again, you know how I feel about the fourth house, y'all. So we're going to look deeper. Anthropos is close to the sun, but not that close enough to make an aspect since it's just an asteroid, so I wouldn't include that. But that finale is really interesting with Uranus, an unconventional way of dying, with it being so close to the IC. It shows possibly in the home, but it also shows possibly by a nurturing figure, maybe a mother, maybe a husband, if her husband was kind of giving her back to health. So that's strange. I'm already thinking, honestly, that maybe the government wasn't involved, or the keeper of the hearth wasn't as involved as we think as we think they were. But again, we can look deeper. Anthropos in Ceres is conjunct. Again, Ceres is how you nurture others, because you weren't nurtured a certain way. And again, that shows that she wasn't nurtured, she wasn't given that emotional intimacy with love from a parent. So that's how she shows love. You get what I'm saying? Because she didn't get it. For that to be close to Anthropos, again, the person who didn't give her that deep love was the person that possibly killed her. Interesting, right? Shit. But I'm seeing multiple people, because remember, I counted Ceres as like doctors, but she didn't get the chance to see the doctor. But her husband could have been nurturing her. But this whole IC Ceres connection is really interesting. Even if we look deeper, because her sun's at 17 degrees Scorpio, but her moon's at 2 degrees Scorpio. We look towards the moon, right? The moon has Palace here, which is all about organization, planning, details, which her mother could have planned this. Osiris is conjunct the moon, as well as Venus. Shit, man, this is getting deep too fast, y'all. Fuck. Okay. Osiris conjunct the moon. Osiris is literally the god of death. Her mom, again, showing that her mom might have killed her, y'all, off of her own desires, with Venus also conjuncting Osiris. And the funny thing is Vesta isn't making any aspects to anything. It's making aspects to Venus, actually. I ain't gonna front. No, it's not, actually. Yeah, Vesta's only making aspects to Pluto. So maybe, shit. I feel like this is, intuitively, I feel like this is far-fetched, but, maybe the mother did it because of the keeper of the hearth, because of the people of a higher power wanted her to do it, and she was getting something out of it. But with Brittany's Pluto conjunct her North Node, though, shows that transformation that she had was a great big part of her soul ascension, her life purpose, and her consistently transforming into different people. That's what she was supposed to do, and that's how she related to people continuously, and actually her continuously relating to people in a transformative way was actually really helpful to her life path as well. So her kind of becoming like brown to blonde to regular size to skinny, like her transforming, that's just a part of her. Like, that's what she does, you know what I mean? And she does this to kind of beyond learn, but kind of just to relate to people in a better way. Strangely enough, that's what she thinks. But Vesta's only making an aspect to Pluto and North Node. Maybe the government were involved in connecting her mother. They connected to her mother, and her mother did the dirty work. Maybe. But I would need to see more Saturn connections, honestly. Let's continue, though. Juno is in the 4th house too, with conjunct Lachesis, which kind of shows maybe her partner was involved in it too. Neptune is conjuncting Lachesis and Juno. They included drugs into it. Were they all like conspiring against her? And then they end up turning their back on the husband and conspired against him afterwards, after Brittany died, and killed him? What in the fuck, y'all? Okay, let's move to the next house. Well, let's see. The 4th house ruler is in Scorpio. Scorpio rules Pluto. Pluto is in the 3rd house. 3rd house is all about communication, community, siblings, when she didn't have any, I believed. Pluto is all about intimacy. If someone that she was intimate with, which you can say husband, but since her having all this Pluto energy with her 4th house and her moon, it could be her mom too. This is crazy, y'all. Just the 4th fucking house. Alright, let's see if we can find something else. They said that she was sick, right? 6th house is ruled by Capricorn. 6th house has RIP and Desti conjunct, which means that her death was a destined thing. Everyone's death is destined, but the thing is that her having an unconventional death was destined. It was supposed to speak out on something. It was supposed to bring something to light. Because the thing is that RIP and destined is an Aquarius, okay? And Aquarius represents like accidents, yeah, unconventional ways, yeah, but it's kind of in the 6th house. So like, how do it kind of maybe shows that as an accident within their health, or maybe something unconventional within the health. Something unconventional happened with her health. She didn't just naturally, I feel like she didn't naturally get sick. You know what I mean? So this could be saying that This could be saying that, like, she just didn't get sick off of being sick. Someone caused her to be sick, and that's why it's unconventional. You get what I'm saying? But the 6th house ruler is in Capricorn, which shows that, again, someone that she felt had control over her, a higher power, like a person, like government, something with authority, messed up her health, was involved in fucking up her health. Capricorn is 6 houses ruled by Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn's in the 1st house. 1st house is the house of body. So they affected her body. Saturn's also in 29 degrees Leo. And it's interesting too, because Saturn in the 1st house usually shows that your dad wasn't really around to help you build your personality. So she was really focused on her mom. But as you see with the moon in her and the sun in Scorpio, she wasn't getting help from her mom that much either. Like, her mom, of course, raised her and took care of her, but her dad wasn't really around. Her mom wasn't giving her that close, intimate bond that she needed, poor thing. But regardless, though, this shows that something weird happened with her body, in a person of a higher power kind of set this whole thing up, and it affected her direct body. She felt restricted within her body. With it being at 29 degrees Leo, it shows heart issues. Leo represents the back and the heart. I don't know if she had back issues, but she did have a heart murmur. Peep that. And she ended up dying from cardiac arrest. Interesting. This is going quite fast and furiously. Like, this energy is just I wish you could feel the energy that I'm feeling right now. It's just wild right now. Saturn is sextile the moon. Maybe the connection between the mom and this higher power. The mom coming with one perspective, the higher power is coming with another perspective. But it looks like who ultimately killed her was her mom, or someone that was nurturing her. Because Venus is also conjunct here too, Osiris as well. Maybe it was both of them, the mother and the father. I mean, the mother and the husband. What in the hell, y'all? This is happening too fast. Like, this reading is happening too fast. There's so much information just hitting you fast, dude. Let's look at the 8th house. Now, the 8th house is ruled by Pisces, so you already know there's elusiveness, delusion, confusion, but also drugs can show that what killed her was drugs, not necessarily drugs that like illegal drugs, but it could be prescription too. She was, it's funny with Neptune, with just mutable energy in general, like, it shows that you're nervous, your nerves are racking, like, you know what I mean? She wasn't feeling too good about what was going on with her. Yeah, and it's kind of like, Pisces kind of have a similar vibe to Uranus, where it just kind of came out of nowhere. Everyone's just so confused, like, what the fuck happened, okay? Requiem's in the 8th house, which represents funeral services, okay? So it probably had a very private funeral, very spiritual. Not that many people were invited. 8th house is ruled by Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Neptune's in the 4th house. She died in her house. But I can't keep thinking. Like, I keep thinking mother. But I can't ignore that Lackey is also conjunct Venus. That Lackey is conjunct Juno, or Lachesis. I keep calling it Lackey. Lachesis, which represents death, conjuncts Juno as well. That Osiris is in the same exact degree as Venus. Osiris is the Egyptian god of death, but is also next to the moon. So it's like, since Juno in Lachesis is conjunct Neptune, did the husband know he was involved in killing her? Was he was the mother kind of plotting and telling him to do things to make her die, or vice versa? Was the husband doing it? I feel like the mother had control. Like, I feel like the mother probably had control issues. This is me intuitively speaking. Jesus, y'all. Oof. This is nuts. Shit. This is fucking crazy. The crazy thing is, like, it's so much fourth house energy. They're trying to keep this secret. They're trying to keep this private. But the great thing about this is that, you know, fourth house energy always comes to light. Eighth house energy, it takes some time, but it will eventually come to light. If people, you know what I mean? Depending on what the universe feels. 12th house energy never comes to light. Pisces energy never comes to light. You know what I mean? But with all this fourth and moon stuff, I feel like someone's gonna get hip to something, and they might reopen the case and investigate something. This is wild, y'all. And we looked at Scorpio, we looked at Pluto, we looked at Capricorn, we looked at Saturn steeped in her chart. Let's see where Mars is at. Mars is in the 12th house. I wonder if she could dance. A lot of people with Mars in the 12th house could dance. But that kind of shows that that's a little concerning, because even though it's 4th house energy, it kind of shows that whoever hurt her is going to be always unknown. Or we have to connect with spirit to know who really killed her. If there's one of those police officers who are open-minded to listening to mediums, they might get to something. The 12th house ruler is Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon's in the 3rd. I feel like the whole idea of community keeps coming out, or communication, or thought process. Maybe she thought herself into nervousness, which led to something. Or this could be, this could represent pneumonia. Because pneumonia is, you usually get it from your community, like you're around people and you catch it that way. That could represent that. This is crazy, y'all. The moon is squared RIP. RIP is conjunct destined, which the moon is squared that too. So again, showing the mother doing some shady shit, doing some fucked up things, fucking with her health because it's in the 6th house. Goodness gracious, y'all. Shows her mother did help her with her career though, because the moon is sextile vertex. Vertex is in Capricorn. Capricorn is status, reputation, and this in the 5th house, which is the talent. So it shows her mother did help her with her career. She definitely had issues with her mom, y'all, because the moon is opposite Chiron. Chiron represents your childhood traumas, and she had childhood traumas connected to her self-worth because it's in Taurus, and she kept it in, and it's being opposite of the moon. Her mom wanted her to think about shared worth, the family getting money, her including her, while she was wanting to build up her own self-worth, kind of do things on her own. It's in the 9th house, so she wanted to discover the world on her own, do things on her own, and her mom was just always on her. She lived with her mom, right? Why couldn't her mom just have her own house? You know what I'm saying? Let's look at other aspects though. The moon is trine Jupiter, which is strange. Kind of shows a connection between the mother and her husband, her mother and her husband. You get what I'm saying? I pretty much talked about the sun. The sun's not doing that much besides trine Requiem, which shows again her private ceremony of how she got buried. But that's really about it. Everything else is kind of conjunctions here. So Pluto is sextile Neptune, shows the death was involved in drugs. The death could have also been involving the husband, since it's also sextile Juno. Maybe the husband and the mother was in cahoots, guys. But it's just so strange because the husband ended up dying too. If he was in cahoots, he would know what the mother was trying to do. You know what I mean? That's the thing that confuses me. So we may have to really look at her death chart to get real answers. But I kind of wanted to also look at his birth chart. I don't have a birth time for him, but I do have, hold on one second, just his general placement. He was born March 9th, 1970 in England. He has a shit ton of planets in Pisces. Which, that doesn't mean anything. Just because you have a shit ton of planets in Pisces don't mean much. It don't mean that you're going to be all drugged out and shit, But Pluto's in Virgo, which shows that, again, similar to Biggie and Tupac's, people dying was a part of his everyday life, but also it shows that, health issues, health issues could be involved in his death, like him not taking care of himself. For him to have severe anemia, is iron deficiency anemia at that, which is so easy to kind of combat. For him to have so much money and have that issue, and for her to have that issue, shows that he wasn't really taking care of himself like that, possibly. His routines were a little bit off. He needed to have a huge transformation within that. Maybe him having that huge transformation of Brittany dying fucked up his routine, which caused him to die that way. It's tricky because I know in Vedic astrology, which I kind of use some of their principles into tropic astrology, they use the 10th house lord, planetary ruler, to show you how your relationship would be with your in-laws. But I don't know any of his houses, so I wouldn't be able to know. His Mars does conjunct Saturn, so I kind of see that as being, again, higher power being involved in any type of violence that's pushed towards him, that's kind of imposed onto him. Lots of self-worth issues here with Mars and Saturn in Taurus. That's tough. Yeah, I'm gonna skip on his birth chart, honestly, because it ain't telling me much. I just, I need houses, you know what I mean? And so, yeah. Anywho, let's take a look at, her death chart, right? So what I'm going to do is focus on, apparently her mom, she was, kind of real effed up around, 7 a.m. And then she ended up passing out at 8 a.m. but pronounced dead at 10:04 a.m. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some natal progressions and transits during that day, if I see anything interesting. And then I also want to take a look at the day that Simon died, if I see anything interesting here. Anything worth looking at to see if something or someone else was involved, because just for them to die the same way is weird. It's really weird, you know? So let's take a look. Alright, guys, so let's look at the death chart of Britney Murphy. She died Sunday, December 20th, 2009. And it says that, reports say that she was feeling really sick at 7 a.m. That she passed out at 8 and then wasn't breathing, but then had a cardiac arrest at 10. So let's look at the 7 o'clock chart first. So this shows 29 degrees in Sag. So that kind of shows that that this was extremely critical time, that possibly she could have been saved with it, especially with this being a fire sign. Fire could be lighted and ignited so quickly, and it's mutable too, so fire could be put on or out. And if you're not hitting that person at the right time, then you could be kind of, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not attending to that fire quickly, it could either get really, really bad, or the fire can go out. You get what I'm saying? Especially with the sun right at the ascendant, it shows that it was definitely a critical time. The sun was at 28 degrees, but 52 minutes. So there's 60 minutes in each, in a minute. Within a degree. And so that shows it was only a few minutes before it hit 29. So I wouldn't be surprised if literally moments after she found her, that's when she was at the most critical, when sun hit 29 degrees. For sun to be conjunct the ascendant like that in the 12th house shows that it was kind of her vitality was low. She kind of maybe even saw visions and illusions, and probably saw her guides and angels at this time, loving ones, thankfully, because Venus is also conjunct her sun in the 12th house, making sure that she was okay. But the fucked up thing is that she could have been saved if she was tended to correctly. Right, conjuncting it as well is Pluto in the first house, 2 degrees Capricorn, which shows literally the line between life and death. And if they called at that time, at 7 a.m., she could have been alive today. Straight up. But now the sun is going to meet Pluto, or going to be in the same house as Pluto. And that's literally going to cause her death. So if her mom called soon as she found her really sick like that, she called the paramedics, Britney Murphy could be here today. Not to put no blame on her mother, because I'm not quite sure if her mother really was involved in her death like that. There's something inside of me that's saying, I've always felt weird about her mom too. And I've always was more on her father's side, but I saw this video of this medium saying some things, and yeah, I'll get into that later. Okay. Anywho, that's what I see there. Okay. She was literally at the moment between life and death, and she could have been saved if she received proper help, right at 7 a.m. Okay. And that moment could have transformed her in a different way too if she stayed alive. It could have been a transforming moment to, all right, I need to take better care of my health. I need to take health a little bit more seriously. I need to take my, pay attention more to my career, my status, my reputation, stuff like that. The really interesting thing is that Capricorn and Cancer is intercepted in this chart, which shows that her status wasn't the first thing in her mind. Her reputation, her career wasn't the first thing in her mind, nor her mother. For Cancer to be intercepted in the 7th house is interesting. Her mom's not her partner. Her mom, she's not connected with her mom in that type of way. And her mom's energy is intercepted. Maybe this is when she felt like, oh, my mom wasn't for me like I thought. But, can't ignore that, Capricorn's intercepted too is supposed to represent the father. So can't ignore that part either. But the 7th house is interesting. Maybe she felt like her father was with her since it's in the 1st house. The 1st house is self. So my father is with me, is down with me. My mom is the 7th house, my partner, but she's not with me because her energy is intercepted. The 7th house also represents open enemies as well. You can't be your own open enemy. Know what I mean? Something to think about. But for her, this is interesting to have Sag in the as the rising sign at this time. I mean, she didn't pass, but I wouldn't be surprised. So she probably fell on the bathroom floor and hurt her hip. And I don't think it caused the death, but it shows that her hip was hurt with Sag in the 1st house, because Sag represents not your hips, excuse me, that's more Libra, but your thigh. So she probably hit, well, yeah, it's hips too. I'll say hips. Libra and Sag share hips. But like hip and thigh area, she probably bruised it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was bruised because she fell. I don't know what her autopsy report looks like, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was hurt. The sun at the ascendant shows again the heart. The heart's messed up. Pluto is usually the reproductive organ area. I can't imagine her groin being bruised. Who knows? But I feel like that would have been noted in the autopsy report, but the autopsy report was kind of lackluster anyway, so who knows? With Venus so close to the ascendant, I would be like, like there probably was some unpleasantness in here, but since it's in the 12th house, I feel like it was pleasantry. She was pleasant. She felt okay. She wasn't in pain, thankfully. But let's look at the 4th house here. 4th house is ruled by Aries. 4th house is the house of home. Aries is aggression. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is in the 8th house. Wouldn't be surprised if her mother was the one that directly hurt her. The moon is in the 2nd too. Money, possessions, material worth. And then Pars of Fortunes conjunct that. Her mom's lucky. RIP's conjunct that. Her mom's literally getting luck from her dying. Very interesting. 6th house is ruled by Gemini, which shows that she had some nerves. She was a little kind of anxious and worried, and her anxiousness kind of made her health a little bit worse. You know what I mean? She was kind of like all over the place. Could represent she had some breathing issues. I definitely see her heart issues here. With her taking all that medications and already having a heart murmur, that is bad. You know what I mean? And then with Gemini being in the 6th house, like she was stressed out, and the stress caused her health to get bad. You know what I mean? To struggle. 6th house, there's nothing inside the 6th house. 6th house is ruled by Gemini. Gemini, planetary ruler is Mercury. Mercury is in the 1st house. So there's literally the stress of her health directly affected her body. But she couldn't speak on it because she was too weak. the reason why I say that is because it is in Capricorn in the first house. In Capricorn's intercepted, so she couldn't speak on it. She couldn't talk on it. But if she did, it would have changed her life because Mercury is conjunct North Node. So it's just the timing was really just fucked up. It's just really bad timing. Swing over to the 8th house. The 8th house is ruled by the sun. By Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun's in the 12th house. With the sun being in the 12th house, again, it shows how she was fatigued. She had low vitality. It didn't help. And, she kind of just faded off to death. You know what I mean? It wasn't just this abrupt thing. Vertex is in the 8th house. It was a fated event. Anthropos and Mars is conjunct each other in the 8th house. Someone killed her. Straight up. Somebody killed her. Straight up. And it was her heart that killed her because it's in Leo. Like all the medications, it fucked up her heart. She ended up having a cardiac arrest, right? Vesta is in the 8th house, right? Vesta being in Virgo kind of shows that someone of a bigger power fucked up her health, but it could also be interpreted as someone of a bigger power within the home, within her everyday life, caused this demise for her. So it could be either or. You know what I mean? And again, remember how I said about Mars having connections with death charts and Mars being retrograde? Mars was retrograde. It was a stealthy type of death. Anthropos is retrograde. It was a stealthy type of death. They didn't just outright murder and kill. It was on a slow tip. This is wild, man. She was definitely murdered. I felt confident enough to say that. I know another person would be able to see this as like her recreation caused her to die because 8th house is ruled by Leo. Leo is usually all about self-expression, recreation, having fun, enjoying yourself. But with Mars there, it makes you see like, nah. And then now, knowing that she had heart issues and seeing her autopsy report and seeing that she didn't take any recreational drugs. It wasn't that her heart was fucked up. They fucked up her health and made her heart crazy. You know what I mean? Her taking all those drugs, her having all those, her having pneumonia, her having anemia, and having all those damn metals in her. Who would think to do that, though? I feel weird blaming her mother, but it's too many connections to the moon. And for her moon to be in the 2nd house, mommy's trying to get the money. Mommy thought she was going to get the money. That's what I felt. You know what I mean? That is what I felt. And then the fucked up thing here is that the moon is opposite Mars. So it shows that the moon being in the 2nd house, I'm gonna get the person who died's possessions, right? But I have to still share it with, her lover, which represents Mars. Usually Jupiter represents the husband. And I actually see him as a husband, not just a not just a bad boyfriend, you know what I mean? But who knows anymore now, you know what I mean? Everything's just so confusing. But again, moon connection. I feel like the mother was involved in this murder. That was a bold statement to make, but I made it. I fucking made it. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if the husband was hurting her and not knowing, because Jupiter and Neptune are conjuncting each other exactly at 24 degrees Aquarius. Jupiter represented by the husband, Neptune's represented by delusions and drugs. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if he was hurting her and not realizing it. And the mother was planning it all along, especially with that palace thing that I was seeing. And then, like, wow, her natal moon's 2 degrees Scorpio, and Lachesis was at 2 degrees Scorpio in her death. Next to Pallas at 3 degrees Scorpio. This was planned. This was a planned death. This was a planned death. They was thinking they was getting money out of her from dying. Because it's the 10th house. 10th house is the career and part of the legacy. The 8th house is a legacy too, but the 10th house is too. Career-wise legacy, not like more familial legacy. Crazy, yo. Wow, dude. Wow. Y'all. This is insane. Insane. I feel like we already pretty much have the answers, but I'm gonna like look at the other houses, and then what I'm also gonna do, look at the other charts with the different timings. Look at the houses. I'm gonna also look at the husband's death chart too to see if I see anything. And then, like, before I look at the husband's death chart though, I'm gonna look at Mars connections to like other planets to see if I see like if I could pin down who did it. You know what I mean? Now, the moment when they called the ambulance and she stopped breathing, the rising sign was in Capricorn. Her bones was probably aching from the fall. Pluto and Sun is right in the 12th house together with Venus. So she didn't feel any pain, but death, the choice was made that she was going to die. With Mercury conjunct the ascendant, that means the paramedics were involved, the right people were involved, and they was trying to figure out anything and everything to do to resuscitate her, to keep her alive. And even if you were to listen to the paramedic call, right, it was so weird, because at first I cried because the mother was like sobbing, but then she's like, ah! And then she'll stop and she'll be like, is she okay? Like, it was really weird. Like, she would go like sob and then just snap of a finger, just be like, all right, so make sure she's okay, blah 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 blah. Like, it was just really strange, and I was like, I was like, should I be crying at this? This is weird. It was really strange. So I don't know. It's 6:45 now. Maybe I should look at that timing. I already talked about moon conjunct RIP, right? I'm pretty sure I did. But let me check 6:45 and if that means anything. You know how I am about my angel numbers, y'all. Okay, let's take a look. Angel number 645 is a message from your angels that the changes you are currently undergoing are long awaited and necessary for your highest good. Trust that these changes are in alignment with your divine life purpose, and all of your material needs will be met as needed. The angels are protecting and guiding you through your life choices and changes that will assist you in your daily life and on your soul journey. Give any fears or concerns to angels for healing and transmutation, and have confidence in your choices and actions as they are right for you. So I feel like she was feeling that at this moment. She kind of wanted to finally be at peace and her health to be better. She probably didn't necessarily want to die, but she kind of just like, might as well. And she just wanted to make sure things were good, you know? Especially the part that says the angels are protecting you and guiding you through your life choices. Remember, I felt like her guides and angels were around her during the time of her passing. Let's finish though. Angel number 645 tells you that your intentions and actions to change your life for the better are supported and encouraged by angelic and spiritual realms. Instead of worrying about how things will work out, put your time and energy into holding positive thoughts and expectations about what you truly desire. Through the law of attraction, you will draw those experiences and situations into your life. If something about a situation doesn't feel right, reconsider your options and listen to your inner knowing and intuition. Make changes accordingly. So I think that, again, this is kind of reminiscent of her making a decision. Should I transform and leave Earth, or should I stay here? And her angel supported her regardless. I also feel like she finally got it, that positive thoughts and expectations about what she desires could be obtained through the law of attraction. And she finally got that she had the support, but she didn't realize it while she was alive fully. You know what I mean? Angel number 645 can also suggest a change of home residence or travel movement of some kind. Her spirit moved, Take the time to reflect upon the actions and steps you have taken and appreciate your achievements and learning experiences. Trusting your own abilities to make positive and life-changing decisions for yourself and your future. Your actions today steps towards your destiny. And it sure did. God bless her soul. All right, so okay. Let's take a look here, y'all. Just looking through the houses here. The first house ruler is Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn's in the 9th house. That's interesting. I don't know what to say about that, honestly. Because at first I was saying like, okay, the person that caused her death was from a different place from her, which could be her husband. But I feel like the 7th house ruler is the killer. Like I said that before, it's the person who caused it. Like, you are the first house, they're the 7th house. But I wonder what about the 9th house is connected to her death. Maybe the people who were assessing her, helping her, the paramedics, weren't from the U.S. Maybe that's it. Because the 9th house represents foreign everything. Foreign travel, foreign thoughts, foreign philosophies, foreign beliefs. You know what I mean? Interesting. But the 7th house ruler being in Cancer, though, her mom did it. Seems like finale is conjunct not quite conjunct, honestly, but the South Node is not conjuncted either, but it's really close to the 7th house ruler. Finale in South Node, though, so that could show that her dying this way is some past life thing, some karmic thing from her past life. Mars, Anthropos, and Vertex is in the 7th house now. This could show a connection to her husband. It could. Or it could be open enemy. But did she know this was an enemy, though? Maybe she knows now, since she's not fully here, you know? Interesting. Vesta, though, is in the 8th house. I wonder if they were in on it with the government, with the National Homeland Security. If that was kind of like a thing, you get what I'm saying? Really interesting, y'all. Okay, so 4th house ruler is Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is in the 12th house. Again, the house of the unknown. Again, I think she done passed by now. Her body was fully out of... Her spirit was fully out of her body by this time. That's what I really feel. And it's just kind of... She was probably scanning through her life, realizing her self-sabotaging ways or self-undoing, but also her spiritual evolution. 6th house ruler is still ruled by still ruled by Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in the 1st house. Again, her body is breaking. Her health is affecting her physical body. Her body's breaking down. 8th house ruler is in Leo still. Leo's in the 12th house. Yeah, she done passed by this time, I believe, y'all. About at 8 o'clock when they said that she wasn't breathing. I think she was gone by then. Yeah, because her 4th house ruler and her 7th house ruler, her 8th house ruler is in the 12th. Her 6th house is in the 1st. Her 6th house ruler is in the 1st and going into the 12th. You get what I'm saying? So yeah. And then I bet you at the 10 o'clock time, Mercury is going to be at the 12th. And so that shows that her body finally gave out and then she passed. You get what I'm saying? So let's look at the final time that she died. No, Mercury's in the 11th when she passed, when she was declared dead. But the moon's conjunct the 1st. Interesting. Aquarius is the 1st house. 1st house ruler, or the ascendant. Aquarius is more about like your legs. I don't understand how her legs are involved with this. But Anubis is conjunct the 1st house, which represents the death. But moon conjunct her 1st house too can show again mother was involved. Crazy, dude. Juno is conjunct the 2nd house ruler, but doesn't necessarily said that he did anything, but can say that he's, getting the money. You know what I mean? That's her next of kin. Mars is like right on the 7th house ruler. So it was someone that she partnered with. So it's tricky because it could have been her life partner, which was her husband, that killed her. But it could have been like her mother wasn't her mother her like manager? Her mother was like her partner too. I feel like her mother could have been a partner too. Or this could be saying, since they're opposite of each other, that it was her mom and her husband. They got in it together and they killed her. Saturn in the 8th. Usually that means you live long, but it also could mean like a weird death, like a death when you died young, because you didn't kind of take care of certain things. But the interesting thing too, again, Lachesis and Pallas moved along to the 8th house in Scorpio, conjunct her natal moon. I feel like her husband was involved, but I don't know if he was aware that he was involved in this. You get what I'm saying? I think her mother was fully aware though. And if the government was involved, I think they were aware, but I'm not even sure about the government being involved like that. I'm not really sure. This one's tricky, y'all. I know the mother was involved, though, that's for sure. Which is really fucked up. which is really, really fucked up. I mean, Venus is trine Mars. You know, maybe he really wasn't aware that way. But it is harmonious energies too. I don't know. He looks genuinely sad. It could have been regret though. You know what I mean? Really interesting. That it's not much aspects happening because they're not like really strong ones like that. That Moon Mars is kind of I don't know about that, y'all. I don't know about that. We can look at her progressions versus her transits and see if anything's popping off there during that day. Her progressed ascendant was in Virgo. So again, this was a really important time for her to take care of her health. And unfortunately, she didn't do as well as she should have. Progressed Vesta was conjunct her moon and Pallas, which shows again mother involved in it was connected with the power of the keeper of the hearth, or possibly Homeland Security. And they planned this whole thing out, maybe. It was in 6 degrees Scorpio. Her moon's in 2 degrees. Pallas is in 5. And then Pallas itself was in 19 degrees Scorpio, conjunct her sun, her natal sun, and natal Atropos, which represents death. Interesting. Her progressed Venus in Ceres is right where her Juno is. So yeah, I'm thinking that if her husband helped killed her, he really wasn't aware like that. Her progressed Sun is conjunct her progressed Juno as well. And wow, listen to this, y'all. Pluto was tightly conjunct. Actually, nope, at the same exact degree as her vertex. Her transit Pluto was at the same exact degree as her vertex. So she was going to go through a transformation, whether it was a physical death or some type of death. Interesting. And this transit Pluto was conjunct her progressed Mercury, which shows the planning that was involved in this whole thing. And guess what's conjunct in all of that? Moon, her progressed moon. Y'all, her mother was definitely involved in this. That's bold as fuck, I know, but this is strange. Strange. And transit Jupiter and Neptune. Remember, I was like, if her husband killed her, he wasn't aware. That's in her natal 7th. Transit Uranus is in her 8th. So something came out of nowhere, totally shocked everybody. Yeah, I think I'm getting my ideas here, y'all, for sure. Let's take a quick look at Simon's chart, his death chart, and see if anything is interesting here. First thing that I peep is that RIP is conjunct the 7th house. So again, a partner of his caused his death. Now it can't be Brittany. Brittany passed. A partner of his, like his mother-in-law, who took 5 hours, waited 5 hours until she called the ambulance. And I don't know if he was alive during that 5 hours or just really like really just deathly sick. And his mother felt like she had to wait, but I don't know. His health was strange because, his 6th house ruler is in Pisces, and having that and as your health ruler is not good. Pisces is just illusions and delusion and confusion when it comes to your health. him taking a lot of drugs himself, and no wonder he died similarly to how Britney has passed. Uranus is in here, so he really didn't see this coming. It could have been an accident. He wasn't aware. That's for a fact. He wasn't aware. But it's strange because Jupiter's conjunct here too, so I feel like he was supposed to have some decent luck. Maybe if he connected with his guides and God, he would have been okay. Since Jupiter is in Pisces, as well as Uranus in the 6th house. Maybe, Brittany's mom, Sharon, was Jupiter here. I don't know. His 4th house ruler is in Capricorn. Dark Moon Lilith's in Capricorn. Was this some type of payback? You know what I mean? Unconventional payback, since Dark Moon Lilith is in Aquarius, but still in the 4th house. The 4th house ruler is The 4th house ruler is Cap. Cap is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in the 12th house. In Virgo, though, so kind of meeting that earthly realm to spiritual realm. Restrictions of health caused you to go to the spirit realm. You know what I mean? The more I'm looking at it, his death seems more of a true sickness. But now that I said that, though, Pluto and Ceres is conjunct. Someone who's supposed to be taking care of him caused him his death, and his mother-in-law, Sharon Murphy, was the one that was taking care of him and called the police. The craziest thing too is that Pallas and Lachesis was still conjunct in Scorpio at this time, and so again, planned death. People still planning deaths here apparently. And it's in his 1st house too. It's not in some weird house. It's in his 1st house. So it has to do with literally his physical body. Planning the death of his physical body. You get what I'm saying? Mind you, I'm looking at the chart of when, the 5 hours before that the ambulance was called. You get what I'm saying? And at that time, the sun is in the 8th house. The house of death. His vitality was going through a transition. Requiem and Vertex were conjunct at the same exact degree, 27 degrees. In Taurus, mind you. So that shows that, let's plan his services and get my money. This self-worth's about to be shared worth. You know what I mean? His possessions about to be my possessions. Britney's estate's about to be my estate. If you get what I'm saying here, y'all. But it's interesting because Libra is the rising sign for this. So that represents the butt and hips. I don't understand how that's involved in his death, really. But Venus is in the 9th house, which shows someone that is foreign to him. Could have been connected somehow here. And he was from England. They were American, so. But the 7th house ruler, which I would see as the murderer here. 7th house ruler is in Aries. So again, it kind of shows got kind of murdery vibes. Interesting things, the 8th house ruler is also Venus, is in the 9th house. So again, the transition's caused by someone who's not from there and is a motherly figure, since Venus is in Cancer. Again, his mother might have done it both. Might have caused both. 7th house ruler is in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is in the 10th house. Only thing I'm getting from there is that the Mars is not retrograde, right? So maybe, I don't know about that. But Destin is conjunct Mars, so that's interesting here. that kind of gets some issues some issues with his heart was caused too. Like maybe he went through a cardiac arrest as well. Mars was opposite of Neptune, so what caused this was not only drugs and delusion of the murder, right, but an unconventional way to how to handle it. You know what I mean? Since Neptune's in Aquarius. Vertex is squared Mars, though. So it's a fated event, but it's a nasty one, and it not good, and it's also conjunct Requiem. There's murder, aggressive murder. Crazy, dude. And Pluto is opposite the 8th house ruler of his. Pluto retrograde kind of shows again this transition is quiet. No one's gonna speak about it that much. I wouldn't be surprised if the community is kind of saying like, what the fuck happened? Like some weird shit's happening here, and I don't like it, you know? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she was involved in this too, y'all. I really wouldn't. And so 9:20 finally the ambulance was called. There goes that Sag rising, y'all. He died in a Sag rising too. I'm gonna cut this shit closed right now. He died during a Sag rising too. Oh my God. And when he was pronounced dead, it was less than 1 degree away of Britney's death chart. 27 and 51 degrees, and she died at 29 degrees Sag. Crazy. Wow, they died the same way. They died the same way, and their ascendants were the same when they were pronounced dead. That is nuts, y'all. Wow. Oh, excuse me. She was pronounced dead with an Aquarius rising, but you know, she was actually like found during the 29 degrees. Found in a bathroom. And I think when they found her in that bathroom initially, she was like literally at the edge of like life and death. But that's when he was pronounced dead at 27 Sag. That's crazy. Coincidences is not a thing. It's like, you know, this is more than a coincidence. You get what I'm saying? And Pluto was in his first house as well. And Ceres is in his first house too. The person that was supposed to be taking care of him didn't take care of him, led to his death. And the creepy thing is that both Capricorn and Cancer is is intercepted in this chart too. Wild, y'all. This is wild. Mars in the 8th. Again, been murdered. 8th house in Leo, something with the heart. Finale, Vertex, Anthropos, all conjunct. Well, not really Finale, but they're all in the 8th. But Anthropos and Vertex are conjunct, though. Jeez Louise, y'all. Yeah. The sun is close to Requiem, not quite conjunct though, but they're both in the 5th house. I feel like with his vitality going away, he was happy because he can thinking he could be with Brittany again, maybe. 4th house is ruled by Aries, again showing murder. Conjunct RIP. His IC's conjunct RIP. Moon conjunct the 10th. I think people were starting to look at the mother like, what are you doing? Even if they didn't think that she murdered them, you know what I mean? Like, maybe like, what the fuck? Why are you always here? You get what I'm saying? And that's why she was starting pointing fingers, calling people crazy. And you know what I mean? Wow, y'all. Wow. So lastly, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure some names are on here. See if I see anything weird. I'm going to do the name Asteroid thing here. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to do first Brittany's chart, okay? Not going to really talk about which houses they're in, but only, maybe I will. Since it only was up to Aquarius, I can fuck with that. Okay, let's just look at these asteroid names, okay? Because what the names I added was added Murray, which is her mom's last name, and of course hers too. Sharon, which is her mom's name. I added Kathy. I added Kathy and Kathleen, which is her mother's middle name. Added Simon, which is her husband's first name. I couldn't find his last name, Monjack. Added Joseph, which is her father's middle name. And Angelo, which is her father's first name, okay? So, looking at here, Joseph is conjunct the moon and Black Moon Lilith, which is interesting. I kind of see that as so when she was first looking like she was about to die. This is all in the second house. When she was called, the ambulance was called, it's still in the second house, and then it moved to the first house when she was pronounced dead. So again, I kind of see like maybe money still was being thought of or something. I don't know how. I don't think her father knew that she was that sick. He said he was in Las Vegas, but he doesn't talk about much about the day that she died. So I don't know his full awareness, but that's a little concerning there. But it also could show too that that he, Black Moon Lilith is actually pretty good. It shows how you specifically with women, how you transmute energy to be more productive. And he used all the pain that he felt with her death to be productive in finding who killed her or who was involved in her death. So that could be saying that. And then finally he's being the nurturing parent that she needed, even though she already passed. Angelo is in the second house too. And I'm not gonna lie and say that he's not thinking about money. He is, but I think he does care with the moon being so close. He's like turning into the mom now. But nothing is aspecting, nothing's conjunct that asteroid. And when it comes to name asteroids, it's good to look at like trines and stuff, but conjunctions are the deepest aspects to look at, honestly. Opposites are straight too, but it's definitely you have to go within 2 degrees for sure with name asteroids, and then they have to be conjunct for the most part. Maybe opposites, okay. A real fucked up thing, guys. Want to hear something real fucked up? Sharon and Mars is conjunct. Our mom's first name. Mars and Sharon are retrograde in the 8th house. In the 8th house, when the hospital first called me, when she first found her. In the 8th house when the ambulance was called. So I'm thinking the mother was definitely involved. Yep. Vesta's in the 8th house too. Maybe Homeland Security was just watching while this all was happening, not doing shit about it. Was aware of everything, but not doing shit about it. That could be something too. Another interesting thing is that Simon and Kathleen are pretty close to each other. They're 3 degrees away, which some people will count that as a conjunction. Some people say it needs to be 2 degrees. I'll let you guys think of that, but that's in the 9th house. But yeah, just gonna leave it off at that, y'all. Gonna leave it out like that and go with the last. Man, oh man, guys. What do I think happened? Wild guess. Mother was definitely involved. Mother wanted to have more money. She was really up her daughter's butt. She was living at her 32-year-old married daughter's house. House was big, but she really can't have a house of her own. You know what I mean? Why did she wait an hour? Like her daughter's like really, really sick like that to call the ambulance. Why did she wait until her daughter stopped breathing? Why did she wait 5 hours with her son-in-law being super duper sick? You know what I mean? It's just so strange. I think the mother did have some involvement. I don't know about Homeland Security. I don't think it's that big of a conspiracy like that way. At the very least, Homeland Security was watching everything, peeping everything that was being done, and not doing shit about it. At the very least. The very most, they connected with the mom, tell the mom that, hey, we'll leave you alone if you do what we say. Maybe she was pressured into doing it. Why did the mother ask for like armed security in an armed car? You know what I mean? Like, she's really nervous. I feel like she had connections with the government or a higher power somewhere, and she was scared. It felt like she had to do something. I think, one thing that someone noted was that she fought breast cancer or some form of cancer. And, a lot of the metals that was found in Britney's hair was things that you would find in chemo, but I'm not quite sure about that. I couldn't confirm that information. But why does she have that much metal in her hair? It's not like trace metal. It's like a bunch of heavy metal, a lot of it in her hair. No wonder, and that's the thing too, because all this symptoms of her having, like that she had when she was sick, like her being like, first of all, sickly as fuck, her being anxious as hell, her being real thin, is connected to, people who are receiving like metal poisoning. You know what I mean? And so it's just so strange. It's just really, it's just, I don't get it. It's really weird. I think the mother has something to do with it. I wouldn't be surprised if the husband did too. But the only weird thing about the husband though is that the husband ended up dying as well. I don't think he would die the same way the wife died if he knew how the wife was dying. Maybe the husband was involved and wasn't even aware of it. Maybe he was kind of aware of it but kept his mouth shut just to see what would happen. But why wouldn't he move away from her if she's able to do this type of shit? You know what I mean? Like, everything's just weird. Like, was the husband really involved that way? Did the mom trying to get with the husband? Did they have an affair or something? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just strange how Juno was deeply involved in her death chart too. But man, oh man, Moon and Mars was too involved. And it was weird. And Ceres as well. More involved than fucking Pisces and Neptune in the chart. I don't know, y'all. And the thing that makes me really think it the most is that I watched this Medium video of, what's her name? Tracy Brown. She has a YouTube page. Her name's Tracy Brown, and it's annoying because she's like, she has her friend that she reads with, and they talked literally through almost half of the video and then got into the video. But I trust her because a lot of her readings are spot on, especially with things with them dying, because she ended up being like, she would always end up being right because they would report on it later, and her shit usually spot on. And she said that she thinks the mother did it. She said that the father's not crazy. The father looks crazy, and he looks like a conspiracy theorist, but he's onto something. And it's all up in the chart. It is all up in the chart. Okay? So if y'all are interested in seeing that connection, that video, that psychic video or whatever, it's the name of it on YouTube is Britney Murphy / The Third Eye View. You're gonna have to go to like the 7-minute mark because they were talking literally half through the video to actually get to the point, to the actual reading. And it's interesting because she did the reading before the guy, her friend, and got the same answer that he did. So yeah, I think the mother did it too. It's in the chart. The Moon and Ceres and Mars connection is deep within the chart, and that is heartbreaking because she was a fourth houser. Fourth houser love their mom. They love their home. They have a deep devotion, and for her to gosh, I just can't imagine. I feel so bad for her. That is just so sad. But she's good though. Her 12, when she passed, to have the Sun, Pluto, and Venus there, she's good. She went through an easy transformation, and her guides were there to protect her. She's fine. Yeah, real sad stuff. But I think the mother killed Brittany. Her mother did, and I think that she killed her brother, our son-in-law too. And according to Tracy Brown, that she's gonna get caught eventually. So let's put our white candles to Brittany and hoping that justice will be served, and hoping that her soul will be fine. Whether you do it spiritually in your mind or in the physical, light a white candle for her. Okay? Much love, y'all. Peace.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.